Hello, I'm Robert Martin and I proudly serve as Chief Superintendent for Edmonton Catholic Schools. Since its inception in 2014, Orange Shirt Day has provided an occasion for us all to focus on the story of the children whose lives were irrevocably changed through the tragedy that is to be found in residential schools. In our schools and in our communities over these past many years, we have taken the opportunity to learn about and remember the children who were torn from their homes and the parents and families who were overwhelmed with grief and struck by the helplessness and futility of their actions as they tried to protect their children and youth from the harm to be found in institutionalization. It is only through acknowledging the truth that is found in personal experiences or in situations that reconciliation can begin. It is through the sharing of the story of Phyllis Jack Webstad, one of the many stories needing to be told, that people across our nation are coming to know the truth. Phyllis's story is about a 6-year-old child's identity being stripped from her as her shiny new orange shirt is taken from her when she entered the St. Joseph Mission residential school. She has shared the following thoughts. The color orange has always reminded me of that and how my feelings didn't matter, how no one cared and how I felt like I was worth nothing. All of us little children were crying and no one cared. Orange Shirt Day is more deeply about the danger to be found in the misuse of power. Phyllis's story of having her spirit broken is one that is shared by many survivors of residential schools. 1 year in the mission school changed her life forever, as it did for countless others. Orange Shirt Day 2021 has taken on a heightened significance for Canadians this year. This year, with the discovery of unmarked graves at an ever-increasing number of former residential school sites, the grief of our Indigenous communities has become the grief of a nation. This year, our vision has been broadened by the irrefutable evidence of those who were lost as well as the heart-rending stories of those who survived. Schools are supposed to be safe places where children are nurtured and cared for. Words like survivor and graves should never be uttered when speaking of schools. Orange Shirt Day and now our National Day for Truth and Reconciliation are and will continue to be important days for Edmonton Catholic Schools. We are committed to ensuring that learning about this dark period of Canadian history is placed in a position of the greatest importance for our staff, our students, and our community. We want our students to know that we can do better and to understand the importance of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and its calls to action. We want our community to know and to embrace that we are all called to reconciliation. One of the TRC calls to action in education is building student capacity for intercultural understanding, empathy, and mutual respect. As you prepare to engage in learning activities about the terrible legacy of residential schools, I encourage you to focus on these important values. You did not build our past, but you can learn from it, and the knowledge that you gain will help you to play an important role in building a better future that is truly grounded in intercultural understanding, empathy, and mutual respect.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Sandra Palazzo, and I serve as board chair for the Edmonton Catholic School Division. This past summer, individuals across the country were saddened, outraged, and horrified to learn about human remains, predominantly children, found in unmarked graves at the sites of former residential schools. Orange Shirt Day and the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation have taken on increased significance due to these discoveries. The reality of hurtful colonial actions have been laid at our feet, and we cannot just walk away without action. The Edmonton Catholic School Division grieves this tragic injustice alongside our friends, families, and colleagues in the Indigenous communities we serve. Our Board of Trustees is committed to furthering the Division's work on the calls to action recommended by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We will continue to move further along the path of reconciliation through board-level policy development and in the Division's plan for continuous growth. The renaming of Grandin School and recognizing September 30th as a statutory holiday were recent small steps in the Division's ongoing journey towards meaningful reconciliation with Edmonton's Indigenous communities. The Board recognizes the right of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students to obtain an education that results in high levels of learning and success. This position is reflected in Board Policy 19, whereby the Board recognizes the Indigenous Elders Council as the authentic voice for Indigenous matters at ECSD and promotes its influence on policy and curriculum. It is through the ongoing and positive collaboration with Indigenous community members that educational programs and academic supports and services offered by Edmonton Catholic schools are developed to meet the specific needs of Indigenous students. Increasing the knowledge and awareness of all students about Indigenous history, culture, perspective, and contribution is fundamental and necessary. This includes ensuring that a true history of residential schools is remembered, acknowledged, and taught to all ECSD students. We must continue to work together in finding ways forward so the reality of a just and inclusive society is achieved. Orange Shirt Day is an important yearly event that plays a part towards reaching that goal. Thank you to everyone who assisted with planning and developing today's program. Our prayers are with the vulnerable children who died while in the care of residential schools. They were denied the opportunity to live the rich and fulfilling lives they were entitled to. At Edmonton Catholic Schools, we proudly honor our Indigenous community and celebrate their resilience, affirming the commitment that every child matters. Thank you and God bless.
Hello, my friends. My name is Father Glenn MacDonald, and I am a Division Chaplain with Edmonton Catholic Schools. Today, I would like to offer words of apology. This summer, we all became aware of the horrific truth of the 215 unmarked graves at the Kamloops Indian Residential School. This truth has been known for many years by our First Nations, Métis, and Inuit brothers and sisters. It has also been documented in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's final report, and in particular, its fourth volume that specifically dealt with that topic. And that truth was made viscerally known this summer. It's one thing to read a report and see the words and numbers on a page. It's very different to see it marked off in an open field with little flags denoting where children rest. As a division chaplain with a Catholic school board, I feel compelled to offer an apology without qualification to our First Nations, Métis, and Inuit brothers and sisters for the Catholic Church's role in residential schools. It was absolutely wrong. Under no circumstances should children be taken from their families. I can only imagine how painful it has been for you and for your families to carry this truth for so many years. I hope that my apology as a representative of the Catholic Church offers you some peace. I would also like to take this opportunity to ask Catholics at large to pray for something in particular. As part of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, our Indigenous brothers and sisters have asked for the Holy Father to come to Canada to offer his words of apology on behalf of the Church. At the end of December, there is going to be a meeting between a group called Our Lady of Guadalupe Circle, which consists of 4 bishops and representatives from First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities across Canada. And they are going to speak to the Holy Father and share face-to-face their request for the Holy Father to come. Now, I don't know Pope Francis personally, but based on what I have read and his character, I believe that he will hear their request and that he will come to Canada. I also believe that Edmonton is a prime candidate to host him for a few reasons. One, the majority of residential schools occurred in Western Canada. 2, there are 3 major centers with large urban Indigenous populations: Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Vancouver. And if we are to reach out to our Indigenous brothers and sisters in the north, then Edmonton is a prime candidate to host the Holy Father. And lastly, Edmonton hosts a fantastic example of what Catholic education is meant to be. We have the gospel proclaimed, we have truth being taught, and we do so with respect and dignity towards our First Nations, Métis, and Inuit brothers and sisters. And we owe this apology to our Indigenous brothers and sisters. And so I would like to ask you to pray for the success of the meeting between the Guadalupe Circle and the Holy Father. And I would also like you to pray that Edmonton be part of the papal apology. I don't know what will happen with the planning, but that would be a gift that we could offer to our First Nations, Métis, and Inuit friends that would be right and just. And so, my friends, on this National Truth and Reconciliation Day, be assured of my prayers for our Indigenous brothers and sisters. And I ask you to pray for them also, for their healing, for their peace, and that we as a church and a country may heal and grow together in love. Thank you.
Hello, Edmonton. Today, we are given September 30th for the first Truth and Reconciliation Day, a day of remembrance, a day of working together and learning of Canada's Indigenous history. It's a privilege for me to be here today and to say a few words on behalf of my ancestors, the survivors, all those that have passed, and those children that never came home. Today, I say thank you for awakening Canada so we can begin a journey of truth and therefore reconciliation. Our children, past and present and the future, need to know their history. All Canadians and throughout the world needs to know who we are as Indigenous people, the First Peoples of Canada. I'm very privileged that I get to speak. I'm very privileged I get to be here today to use the words my ancestors once spoke, that I got to be the chosen one to live, to tell the stories, to tell who we are as Indigenous peoples, peoples of Canada. We carry so much history, we carry so much strength, resiliency. And please, on this day, September 30th, please, wherever you are, take a moment to think about Indigenous people and all peoples who've suffered atrocities, especially us here in Canada, the genocide that happened to our children and to our people. Today, I may be standing alone, but my ancestors are with me, for they gave me the voice and the hope that I would one day speak on this territory called Treaty 6, Amiskwaciy-Waskagan, Edmonton, Alberta, where I live, and that I'm so privileged and honored that I get to say these few words, and that all should come and learn of who we are. Let's open our doors, classrooms like these, this school here, who started reconciliation many years ago and will continue, and to say thank you to those who finally believed in our stories, finally who said, yes, we hear you. Yes, we will be there to support you. Not to walk ahead of you, not to walk behind you, but to walk beside you. We are all in this together. Our children today, our grandchildren, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren are waiting for us to teach them the way. And that I say to the people, ask questions, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask questions of what happened. Take a moment to search for survivors or people in general who know the stories, and listen and be an ally for our future generation. I ask this in the name of my ancestors who have long passed, the survivors, our children who never came home, but we are bringing them home. I ask this in our Creator's name. Iksimaga, hai hai.
Yeah, hey,